In regard to Drake and Dreamville, are you prepared to witness how LaMayo, Lubri, and J. Cole and given how repulsive their opinions and remarks are becoming? Everyone in his immediate vicinity has persisted in making Kendrick Lamar happy of what he accomplished in hip-hop during the feud. Make sure to subscribe and give a like. Furthermore, J. Cole's right-hand man just came out and supported Drake by saying some really odd things that no other respectable non-Korean rapper would ever consider. And as a result, things are just becoming out of control. In actuality, Dreamville is currently compensating a man for utilizing the genre in which they work and only texting Millie Bobby Brown with his writing abilities rather than songs. We will require it today, so be sure to leave that like. Since Kendrick Lamar has elevated lyricism to new heights in the most genuine manner we have ever witnessed. Despite the paperwork and horrible crash-out moments where Drake is now suing hip-hop and the genre's entire future, we are witnessing this right now. However, after all, Dreamville still cannot back Kendrick. They continue to act as though Drake is the greatest rapper of all time. There is no other way for me to put it. This is just plain strange because, as we now know, even after all of the drama, J. Cole's apology, and his subsequent attempt to mediate the conflict between Drake and Kendrick, he was actually actively supporting Drake more than Kendrick ever was. Cole and his team's current situation and the truth of everything are simply so different from where they ought to have been all along. And we are witnessing it in a rap business where people are fixated on applauding mids and sending papers over rap conflicts, regardless of what these individuals do. Nowadays, the landscape of a rap game is extremely complex, as one side is attempting to improve things while the other is making them worse. Apart from Jay's activities, which I will simply state are distinct, since JIT has shown support for Kendrick, Lamar stated that he wants to collaborate with him. Dreamville is actually promoting all of the mid and litigation shenanigans and nothing that is advocating for hip-hop. Furthermore, based only on their beliefs, JID does not appear to be connected to the other mainstream Dreamville musicians or the general public. The reason for this is because Dreamville's own Robin and J. Cole's right-hand guy are essentially showing up out of the blue to protect a pathetic old Karen Lubery. When you listen to what this person has to say, you can see how confused rappers are about their own lives and the actual area they operate in, as well as how genuinely broken Drake has left hip-hop. Let's go right to the point. Everything started when a video of Abro looping around while yelling at Drake went viral. And in this context, Abro has stated that Drake does not embody hip-hop culture, attitudes, or anything like that. Bas unexpectedly commented on the article saying, "In my opinion, Abro, Drake is one of the most inclusive musicians our society has produced, if not the most, so brought innumerable rappers to prominence. Since the struggle, dancehall performers, Afrobeat artists, R&B artists, reggaeton, and older artists have continued to perform. Toronto is an hour's flight from New York City if it's the Canadian thing, haha. I would contend that their ethnic composition and culture are more like those of the New York metropolis than those of almost any American metropolis. In terms of culture, New York City, Toronto, and London are the trio. It's not his pen, surely. Okay, he is possibly a generation's best writer. What is it then? For a variety of reasons, everyone has been going crazy ever since Bas made these remarks. However, the underlying message of all of this is that Bas is actually pretending that Drake is one of the finest and most genuine rappers of all time. Or that he is Jay-Z, Eminem, Andre 3000, or someone else entirely. And the truth is that these feelings are now defending Dreamville as a whole and J. Cole because, once more, Bas is too close to Cole to oppose him or say anything that would even cast doubt on him. All things considered, this puts us in a similar position to when J. Cole released Porn Antonio, which begs the question, what do these people even stand for in hip-hop? And regardless of their level of musical achievement, do they share our taste in rap music? And are they thinking about the same things that have transpired in our culture over the past few decades? Let's just take a closer look at Bas's assertion that Drake is among the most inclusive musicians in the entire culture. He continues by saying that this is because he has adopted a variety of names with characteristics from many genres. Let's pause for a moment and consider this from a perspective other than the OVO tales. And once more, this explains why Not Like Us is the greatest song of all time. Whatever you want to say about it, it completely exposed the hip-hop grift that Drake has been getting away with for more than 10 years at this moment. Because in reality, regardless of the artists Drake has collaborated with, from Migos to Central. See, you can try to argue that Drake put them on and did these incredible things for their careers. However, with this, Drake lost all originality early in his career and turned into a chameleon who adopted different styles based on the prevailing trends. I'm going to reveal the courtside Karen of rap. So, the obos witnessing this should not become enraged and simply follow me. Once more, Drake attempts to portray himself as a superhero who is dressing up as other musicians and performing incredible feats. This is how the grift operates, and this is what they want you to think. Because in reality, Drake never achieves the sort of success he came very close to without utilizing the innumerable musicians he has collaborated with over the years, and placing his name next to tracks they were already creating, after which he simply added a Drake feature. And for that reason, Bas's reasoning is completely incorrect. You will never be able to see how, in almost every collaboration Drake has ever done throughout his career, he simply copies and pastes what the artist is doing and runs with it, unless you have the nuance to take on what he is saying in reality and again understand the context of the Drake collaboration and partnership. And it has only ever been that. Additionally, I'm sick of people acting like this isn't true. Particularly Bas. Drake only ever collaborates with musicians that are growing hot and on the verge of being famous. Regardless of how we interpret the precise claim that he puts individuals on. And with this, well, once again, once you have the grift, Drake simply hops from wave to wave, whether it was with WizKid or the Additionally. By failing to find real talent to collaborate with and support their careers, as Kendrick did with GNX. All of those rappers were genuinely talented but lesser-known artists who, in the case of a Z-Chike, for instance, would never have gained traction without the feature that Kendrick provided him. Once again, you witness the true meaning of putting on an artist as Drake attempts to offer him an intriguing song or two. By enlisting up-and-coming rappers who were already on the verge of becoming famous. When you look at this more closely and consider how all of the rappers Drake has helped become well-known over the last 10 years or so have been subpar and lazy. Really, you can understand why hip-hop turned into the horror that it was by the conclusion of his tenure at its epicenter when you simply look at the pool of poor talent that he produced. And so with all of this, even if Bas now is attempting to claim that Canada's rap scenes and other aspects are similar to those of New York City, I won't get too worked up over this because this isn't the 2000s. We don't have any of those greats running things, like J Nas or 50. Nevertheless, despite the fact that New York hip-hop is in a worse position than it was in the past, it is currently at its lowest point ever. Really though, if this were the case, why aren't there more Canadian rappers like Joey? Beyond this remark, this peculiar affection for lubbery only becomes more bizarre when Bas states, and I have to quote this because I can't even express it, that he is maybe the greatest writer of all time. What is it then? With these exact words, this statement has caused everyone to lose it on Bas and Drake in general. They are no longer holding anything back because, as we just heard Bas say, listen, I don't care how this comes out. You should be fired for this, as it is blatantly insulting to everyone, especially your buddy J. Cole, who is a writer and a very excellent one, if I may say so myself. Sincerely, it is a claim that the man who only writes messages to Millie Bobby Brown is a superior writer to all those of this generation. This is the reason why Kendrick had to take the actions that he did and why the Drake chapter in hip-hop had to come to an end and be permanently closed. Because of how obliging in content they have become with the existing quo at the moment, Bas and Cole are, in my opinion, excellent instances of this. Really, you can only see it here. They are repeatedly praising Drake, like he is JM&M, for whatever music he has released and for the large crew that produced all of the songs we have seen. Nays, 50 Cent, MJ, Prince, Andre 3000, or any other legend you wish to include at that kind of level when it comes to this. I simply don't understand how a rapper can take credit for a guy who has used ghostwriters on so much of his material. In fact, the more material that comes to light from the OVO L factory, the more we learn about how much material he has attempted to claim without actually contributing anything. Whether it was writing or performing the song without citing sources, in general, this just makes you wonder why Bas would even begin stating this and supporting Drake in the manner that we have all witnessed. Additionally, Bas is very close to Cole, and his brother has already been live during this chapter, making disparaging remarks about Kendrick Lamar. All of these sentiments are, in my opinion, equally anti-Kendrick, as they are pro-Drake. Additionally, it demonstrates that Dreamville just dislikes Kendrick with the exception of Jit, who has stated once more that he wants to work with Kendrick and has occasionally shown some support for him. They also miss the days when Drake and Cole were on their little parade together, commemorating the most terrible and mid-tempo period in hip-hop for a while. Because 2023 was that terrible. In all seriousness, the silver medalists of lyrical rap refer to Drake as the greatest writer of a generation, as we are now witnessing a professional MC based on what was seen in terms of the labels. When I tell you that the Drake era has damaged so much, this is just the apex of what I have been attempting to convey. Furthermore, despite Kendrick Lamar's leadership, much more has to be done since hip-hop has been irrevocably impacted. However, given how commonplace it is to support and defend a rapper who employs ghostwriters like this and attempt to place them in the same league as Kendrick, we are only now witnessing it. Cole, Joey, Tyler the Creator, Freddie Gibbs, Earl Vince, and countless other incredible songwriters and lyricists. Furthermore, it is evident from the effort that some of these rappers put into their songs that referring to Drake as the greatest writer is disrespectful to all of the artists who have come out since him as well as those who came before him. Because the man does more than simply write occasionally. The structure of his songs and the bars have reached the point that, despite all the assistance, they are still so awful and unimaginative that they are not even worth listening to, unless it's papers complaining about not being like us. Because of this, Drake hasn't done anything noteworthy in this day and age. With the exception of Nokia, which was stolen by a lesser-known musician who recorded the whole song sans Drake's vocal around 6 months prior to its release. Additionally, despite hip-hop's enormous success, there are still individuals in areas like Dreamville who believe Drake is a greater rapper than Kendrick and Cole, since we all live in this world. Even while this got me thinking, the thing that happened to the game I love is that everyone agrees that this is a horrible approach. But once more, since we are now fighting back against clown antics, ghostwriting, and simply this rap culture that has rewarded mid, we reached a point where Kendrick had to truly criticize the genre in order to save its future. I suppose that hip-hop is finally experiencing something positive. Now that I've covered everything, please let me know. Are your thoughts on Bas's absurd remarks against Drake? Regarding the takes themselves, what are your thoughts? In what ways does Drake compare to authors, in your opinion? In your opinion, where does he stand in relation to Kendrick and Cole? If you truly want to ask that and simply want to laugh, in the comments section. I am eager to hear your thoughts on all of this. Now please remember to subscribe and like the video if you watched it all the way through. It's really helpful to me. And if you're interested in seeing how things went just before this, we have some exciting news. Kendrick Lamar could be hinting at something with Schoolboy Q that will happen before the end of the year at the same time. Drake just embarrassed himself once more when his new songs, on which he had written such amazing lyrics, failed more miserably than ever before, according to Bas. Watch the recommended video.